Are launching your product idea. I'm Steve Sisto, a marketing specialist here at 52 Launch, and I'm joined by Aaron McAtkin, one of our idea consultants. Now, throughout this webinar, we'll provide you with lots of helpful information that first-time entrepreneurs need to know in order to get their product ideas off the ground. And we'll also talk about our Accelerator Program here at 52 Launch, our proven system for developing great products and getting them set up for success in the marketplace. And with that, let's get started. So Aaron, as an idea consultant, you talk to prospective entrepreneurs all the time. They're pitching you their product ideas. What would you say across everyone you talk to is the most common mistake that you see first-timers make?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're an entrepreneur, it is too easy to get stuck in the immediate weeds of things, right? Because what really damages a lot of companies and what the graveyard of the e-commerce businesses is either you're overspending on areas you shouldn't be, you're overextending yourself, and you're running into a cash flow problem, right? So knowing that if that is a potential serious solution to where your company might not end up being able to make it when you go to scale, we can go ahead and reverse engineer that process and looking at your market viability, making sure that we're going to have margins on your first production order, right? As small or large as that first production order might be, your margins will continue to get better, right? So I always look at who am I going to sell this to? How am I going to identify that to my consumer, tell that story at scale, and ultimately do it at a point where I know that I'm going to be profitable, right? So that's it all. And then that kind of dives into making sure I'm really truly designed for manufacturability, right? And I think that's really the ongoing theme of a lot of these entrepreneurial journeys is, you can kind of do it, a DIY process and go, get your patent, get the design, try to get quota for manufacturing, see what the cost is. If you like it, you move forward, right? And then you start selling product at the end, you go on Amazon, right? And now you got to sell 2,000 of them just to break even, right? Because you don't have the margins, because the process wasn't as streamlined as it needed to be. And I think that's what we do a lot here really well at 52 Launch is we're looking at that margin analysis, your cost per unit, because if you don't have that from the jump, it is quite frankly the lifeblood of your business.
That's so well said, Aaron, and a lot to unpack. One thing I want to get to that you touched upon is market feasibility. Yeah. Now, we work with products across every possible industry you can think of, whether it's childcare, hygiene, pets, automotive, you name it. In general, what is the process of determining whether a product will be feasible in the market?
Well, I think it's a number of things, right? And it's a complex question, but what we're looking for over here, we're looking for the better mousetrap at 52 Launch, right? I'm also looking for entrepreneurs that are gritty. They want to get in the trenches. They're okay with that. They understand the gravity of starting a new business, and they're ready to outsell somebody else, right? I mean, I was having a conversation with someone not too recently, and it's most of the consumers out there, especially in America's economy is largely built on consumerism. That your customers, your future customers, may not necessarily know that they have the problem. You know it because you have a problem, you have an idea in your life. You try to look on Amazon and buy the product, and that's why you're talking to us most likely. But a lot of clients don't know the problem exists and don't know how beneficial your product is going to be until you tell them, right? I think it's all about developing an excellent story to your customers. I want to show you what your problem is. I want to tell you how I can fix that problem, right? And then I want to set that story up to be told at scale, right? And then the more I can rinse and repeat, take in customer feedback, improve my product time and time again, I think that is the basis while maintaining profitability, while maintaining margins. That to me, and based off the research that I've done, is I think identifying a very positive roadmap to building a long-term sustaining business, right? Because the customers are the lifeblood, and their feedback is vitally important to your success, right? And I think it's just one of those situations where you have to be in tune with your customer feedback, but I think it's all about telling a story at scale and being willing to do that from the jump. And when you first, I tell clients all the time, when you first start, this is an exaggeration, but you have to be willing to show this to 5,000 people in order to get one to sell, right? And again, that is an exaggeration. Those numbers will improve as you grow and as you scale, as you build up your Instagram, as you build up your email list, right? And you do more and more eyeballs onto your business. But that is the mindset that I want to I'm okay with getting turned down 999 times, 4,999 times,
just to get that,
get the one sale. And that's what I signed up for as an entrepreneur, because that's really truly how gritty it's a lifestyle, this entrepreneurship journey is. And our most successful clients that we have are willing to dive in there head first and really fulfill themselves within the journey, and then ultimately deliver on sales. And we see that time and time again when we're getting those, larger production orders.
Absolutely. And I think what you said about storytelling at scale is a hugely important lesson for first timers to know. And it speaks to another thing you said about designing for manufacturing, which is separate than just designing on its own. Can you talk a little bit about what that is and why 52 Launch is the best place for that to happen?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, we are, just from a, I don't want to say a liability standpoint, but just from who we are your manufacturer. We are your manufacturer of record, and we are your importer of record. Okay. It's us handling any of those back channel activities that like tariffs or duties that might keep you up at night, when in reality it's really a normal, Thursday afternoon for us, or Thursday morning, depending on what your time zone is, I guess, so to speak. But we understand, first of all, we have the team of engineers, product developers, and industrial designers under our roof that are all consolidated and all are on the same mission for you, right? To design for the consumer, right? To make sure the design, when the machinery, and the manufacturing plants go to put it together, it's efficient from a time perspective and cost perspective. And then moving into sourcing the right material, so that again we're falling within your budget, right? Because if we can't, if we can't basically guarantee that you're going to have, you're going to have a certain percentage of margins on the table, then this doesn't quite make sense, right? And I tell a lot of people, if you're not okay with that upfront risk, and it's the margins are really, really great that a lot of our clients see, then it's something that entrepreneurs have to stomach. But being truly designed for manufacturing means that you're built for scalability from day one. What your margins are from day one. You don't have to redesign it a year later when your demand does get to, you're selling 1,000 of these a month. You are already, since you're already optimized, you can just go into either getting more inventory or expanding the product line, and then building out the roadmap of your scalability is relatively proven from there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, there's a lot there. Let's shift over to funding now. Yeah. I'm sure most of us have seen Shark Tank. Great way to get your product funded, but unfortunately, most of us don't have an access to a panel of world famous billionaires, but maybe we do have access to some friends and family who might be willing to help out. So what's the best advice that you can give a first-time entrepreneur who's looking for funding to get their product started?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, right? Because it's ultimately, you can overwhelm yourself with the 10 plus different steps that you're going to think of throughout this process. It will come down to money, and either you're going to write the check or somebody else is going to write the check, right? And what I would do as an entrepreneur, and I think whoever your investor is, whether it's the bank, whether it is friends and family, they're going to ask 3 questions. How much money do you want? When do you want it? Or what are you going to do with it? And when am I going to make it back? Right? It doesn't necessarily mean, well, I got this $1 million product idea. I need to develop a plan to go pitch to my investors, say, hey, I'm going to need X amount of dollars. This is the team that I'm going to spend it with. I've already talked to them. This is how they're going to deploy my financial assets to bring this company, this to life. And then here's the pragmatic plan that we could follow that, assuming everything's on par from a marketing and branding, et cetera, perspective, the goal is we'll hit, Y amount of sales every single month. Right. So I think it's about, partnering with the right team from the jump, right? It's not it's and my two co-founders say this all the time. It's always it's really like 20% the product and it's 80% the entrepreneur, right? If we can figure out how to sell this and who to sell this to, then I think an investor is much more likely to get on that board because there's a real plan to make their money back versus hey, look at this is my great idea.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The question isn't always why should somebody buy this product? It's why should they buy this product from you? What makes you special as an entrepreneur? And Aaron, from your experience, when do you see investors kind of enter the process? Is it at the idea stage? Is it at the prototype stage? When do you see people get the funding that they need to get going?
I see a mix. I see some at the idea stage. I see some like for us, and we'll jump more into this later, where once we've already designed this, what's called the bridge meeting. It depends on what the idea owner or the entrepreneur is necessarily willing to stomach or give up in the form of equity or control. If I have a vision that I know I just need to get some funding for inventory, but I want to keep this vision true to me, I want the branding because I know how to do that, then I will self-fund that all the way through to a point where then it's like, okay, this is my men's skincare product line that I've already, I got the branding for, I got the logos taken care of, packaging is done, right? Let's just get 1,000 of each of my products to start, and then let's get into sales. That's an option that I've seen quite a bit. But I've also seen getting an investor very, very early stage at the idea stage, right? Maybe you've tried somewhere at another company and failed somewhere else. And you want to just get an investor on just to financially back you. So you're not spread too thin, but also someone else, a partner really to bounce ideas off of, in what could be a very fruitful journey. So, it ranges for a lot of people. It depends on the entrepreneur themselves and what they're willing to stomach, but it can be a lot of different answers.
Yeah, makes sense. All right. Well, let's switch gears now to intellectual property. Aaron, I think oftentimes people come up with a product idea and they think I have to get a patent first before I do anything else. That way nobody can steal it. That way nobody can beat me to the market. Is that necessarily true? Is that the best strategy? Do people always need a patent first? Or is that a common misconception?
Yeah. I mean, my co-founder, Peter, he said the best. There's a lot more products out there that don't have patents and I would always recommend a trademark. There's a lot of protection in that. There's also different types of patents to get, right? You got your utility, design, and then a full provisional patent, right? All of those patents range in cost. But I mean, I always tell people on calls, and if you ever get to meet me, you'll probably hear it from me again that unless Elon Musk or somebody else develops the mind reading device, I have no worry to tell whoever I want about my idea and them stealing it, unless they have the infrastructure behind it to support the ultimate building and growth of that company. Then I would be careful about my intellectual property. My first priority should be optimizing my design for the consumer. I have to make sure this product works. And I also have to make sure this can be done at a profitable rate, right? What cannot happen at all is you invest all this money and you get to a point, let's say all your competitors or like competitors are going to retail for, I don't know, let's say $50 per unit, right? And because the process that you took wasn't necessarily aligned, right? Now it costs you $30 or $40 per unit to manufacture because it's got like 18 different screws. It's got 17 different parts. It was 5 molds to put together. And it's this complicated, convoluted process. You'd be lucky not to lose money on a $30 per unit cost when you retail for 50, because you can't price yourself out of the market. I can tell you all live long day that you're going to be profitable, right? But if you end up having to retail for $500 when it should be 50, or 100, that profitability promise that I just gave you doesn't really mean so much anymore, right? So being profitable while being competitively priced is actually the key here. Something that we focus on very, very often. And optimizing for that, right? Optimizing for a product that the consumer knows, it feels good in their hands, it feels solid in their hands, and it works, right? And it doesn't just break after the first time, right? You can't afford bad reviews in the world of e-commerce, right? There's no amount of AI that can, you know, deliver a real human sounding review, right? Or faking the photos and the reviews from real people. Once you build up that social proof, you're really established as a brand. But you have to look, your vision as an entrepreneur and as a CEO has to be, how does the consumer interact with my product? And that's it. And then everything else, you're reverse engineering to get to that result.
Yeah. Unfortunately, reviews can make or break you in the business place. A bad review can kill your business super fast, but at the same time, a bunch of good reviews and building a strong community and customer loyalty, that's what sets you up for long-term success.
Well, 100%. I always preach to people the importance of the marketing and branding on your business is, as you know, second to none, right? But in the e-commerce game, it's, the consumer is smart. Like the American consumer is very, very intelligent, and they can pick up on AI, especially my generation, our generation, and they can identify a even remotely shady website, right? You can pick out fake reviews fairly quickly. And that is something that, is not a hard thing to import, but it's not about tricking the American consumer. It's about educating on who we are, right? It's about making sure my product gets in the right consumer's hands and they are having a great time with it, because whether they're pissed off or they're happy, they're going to tell you. They're going to be the first to tell you. And it's all about building up that social proof, having the content creators and the influencers speaking about your product on your behalf, really raising that awareness. Because by the time you enter the market, you want to be the hot new thing, right? You want to have that large email list. You want to have the buzzing Instagram account, because that builds a lot of trust for me. You want to have real reviews on your website, and then continue to repeat that process. And like I said before, it's all about that storytelling at scale.
Yeah, I think you don't necessarily have to have the most expensive audio and video equipment. I think authenticity goes such a long way that people naturally gravitate towards that.
And it doesn't have to be the most polished video ever. Like it can be a very, a very edited video. It can be also the same quality on your, your old LG phone, and it's building that authenticity is not, I can't make a video like that, and it comes from when it comes from real people giving real reviews, I think, especially in this world, it speaks volumes.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well said. And similarly to what we were talking about with patenting and intellectual property, let's talk a bit about prototyping. How much should people obsess about getting a prototype made before they come talk to you? Or what do you think is the best strategy for that?
Yeah, I think product first, protection. Product is 1A to me. Protection is 1B. I can always design around a patent. I can always, patent products later. I also know that I'm probably not going to be having many copycats until, several $100,000 worth of revenue, until your name gets really, really large and people know that there's significant profit in this. And that's when they're going to copy you, when you've already made it, as CEO or as an entrepreneur going into this product focused space, this e-commerce space, customer feedback and product functionality has to be your obsession, hands down. If the product isn't exactly in pristine, condition, and the manufacturers are doing a great job, putting this thing together and it works, the consumers love it, you're going to be in a really, really good position. If those steps aren't taken, the revenue is going to match that, and if you're not actually also having an appropriate retail price, revenue is going to match that. Like I said before, the American consumer is very intelligent. They're not going to pay for something that's overpriced, and your revenue is really going to lack from that. But I would always urge anybody to, let's get this design first. I have to obsess over that. Let's then look at the patents, because then, and see what's currently out there. If I need to tweak the design, right, to avoid a patent or just to see what's out there, just to open up my eyes on the competitive landscape, then I can do that as well. But as long as I can prove with my prototype that the product works, you can bring it from idea to a physical reality. It works in the real world and it follows the laws of physics. Then let's go. Then let's go protect it. and let's get some inventory and let's start storytelling.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's go do it.
Let's go do it.
So Aaron, we've talked about funding, we've talked about IP, marketing, patents, prototyping, all these things that first timers need to know. But one thing missing, how do you actually take your idea and make it into a real product? Here at 52 Launch, our accelerator program does exactly that. From design to prototyping, branding, manufacturing, everything in between. The accelerator program is a complete A to Z, one-stop shop, whatever you want to call it. Our team can build you a product and get you to market in a matter of months, not years, months. That means if you start today, you could have a product in your hands before 2026 is over. Anything that I missed that you'd like to add before we dive a bit deeper into what the accelerator program?
No, I mean,
is?
I think you titled it very well. It's and covered, from 30,000 foot view, exactly what we do, right? We've consolidated the team. We've, I think it's the best, it's the next best promise then, that's out there to get you to market, right? Because all any entrepreneur wants is a shot at success, real true success, right? The real entrepreneurs out there that are watching and listening will know and understand what I'm talking about, that if you at least put me in the marketplace, right? And it may be crowded, maybe not crowded, right? But give me a story that's compelling, give me a product that works, and give me the ability to scale that in front of thousands, even millions, and I'll take my chances. That's my mindset as someone who's starting their own brand, right? And the accelerator, we're not here to, do a licensing deal or sell you some sort of dream that's never going to come true, put you in front of companies that you've never heard of, and that probably have never heard of you. We're here to set you up from the best possible stance and delivering an excellent product that has margins, that has profitability, so that not only you can build something great potentially and leave something behind for the next generation, but something that the consumer loves and really can truly interact with.
Yep. I think that's super well said, Aaron. We're looking to partner with entrepreneurs, turn them into the CEOs of their own businesses, and get them on the American dream.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah.
We build your day job while we build your dream job while you work your day job.
Yep. That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the accelerator program, Aaron, is a 6-spoke process that covers everything you need to get a product developed. Spoke 1, market research and strategic foundation. Can you talk a little bit about what that entails?
Yeah, I'll kind of go over the spokes, and that's kind of how when we were designing this proposal, we decided that it was going to be made up of not pillars, but spokes to a wheel, which lead to the center core, which is your business, right? How do we have, and what are the necessary steps that need to happen in order to build an excellent business here, right? So just like Steve said, market research and the strategic foundation, okay? I always say super high level, it's who is going to buy this, okay? That is really the first, who is the total addressable market? How do we take a slice of that pie? And then once we figure out scalability, becoming a market leader, those are a much more detailed plan that you will achieve if you stick with it, years on down the road, right? But market research, I always say that because we need to identify who's actually an interested consumer in this scenario, right? And then we move into the brand creation, the visual identity. Now we know who's going to, now we know who the potential customers are, right? Now I need to understand, okay, what's the logos? What's the packaging going to start to look like? What's the color scheme? What's the brand persona, right? And really getting that visual identity. And then, on the next spoke that's really, really marketing related is the marketing strategy and tactical implementation, right? We know who to sell it. It looks flashy. It looks great, but I gotta have things that convert, right? That's where we're making, the social medias, the websites for you. I got to be able to provide as a business owner, a place for my potential customers to buy my product, right? Has to be done conveniently and has to be done as seamlessly as possible, right? You've obviously seen on Amazon, they have, a 2-click checkout, right? They're saving your address, they're saving your payment methods, and it's add to cart, and it's another pop-up saying, do you want to buy? And it's a little bit of a dopamine rush, which is kind of what they've turned it into. And that's why
can it be easier?
Amazon is a $700 billion, empire right now. But, as we kind of move, as we kind of work on all those pillars for you, or the spokes, I should say, identify who to sell it, how to sell it, where to sell it. We're also working on, the product design and then development, right? The production order, and then the, handling all the back channel stuff, right? Making sure this is DFM, right? Designed for manufacturability, handling the logistics that would make anybody pull their hair out, right? And then ultimately talking with the marketing teams, having our teams communicate, seeing what the retail price is going to be so we can figure out what this is going to what our manufacturing cost has to be at, right? Maintaining that conversation around margins, and ultimately at the end of this, on average 6-month process, you have something that's a real business that's designed for you, or designed by you for the consumer, right? I always tell people, since working here, I've started to speak in analogies, and I think some of the other idea consultants definitely know that. But it's like we're building a McDonald's for you, right? That's your business. That's you own it 100% outright. It's like hiring a general contractor to build your house, but you got to put customers through the door. I can help you. I can facilitate you through that, but you can only lead a horse to water, right? I can't force anybody to drink it. And the more that those entrepreneurs that we work with understand that, the better off this process is going to be, and the more revenue you'll see in the long term.
Yeah, we're kind of guiding them through this process, but at the end of the day, they're the boss, they're the CEO, they're the one making the final decisions on how to grow their business, and we're facilitating that.
We are facilitating. We're also mentorship and consulting as well, right? Because you have an idea, but we know the markets, we know the back end logistics, we know the freight, we know what seasons are good, what seasons are bad, right? So it's not just you're paying for a team to execute on your vision. It's much more than that. You're paying for a team that's going to advise you on, one, sticking within your budget, still delivering an excellent product, and ultimately getting to market. Because the worst thing, and the thing that does not happen, that frankly can't happen, is you failing along the way, right? And when you talk to one of our consultants and see the team that we have here, and we love showing off our office for everyone who we invite over. It's really just a team of 50 plus hardworking individuals. There's no artificial intelligence here, right? It's our team that we've recruited, that we have trained up, that have proven themselves to be the hardworking team at 52 Launch in order to work for you hand in hand to bring an excellent product to market.
And our team is the reason that we can get a product to market in 6 months. If you were to go a la carte and try to do every piece of the process through various different agencies and firms, it would take forever. It would take years, because the design process would take 6 months on its own. Prototyping would take 6 months. We're able to do everything all under one roof.
Yeah, 100%. That's the biggest advantage here. Is we're not outsourcing work to Fiverr or Upwork or anything else like that. When someone decides to partner with 52 Launch, it is an extremely serious relationship that we take very, very seriously. And it is something that we are, we have a fair share of ideas that we hear. We only go to business. We only go into a business with a fraction of those ideas that we hear. And when we do decide to take somebody on, it's an intimate relationship, right? Because you're starting a business. This is an extension of you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else to add, Aaron, before we sign off?
No, I think, listen, if you have an idea and you're interested in pitching an idea, I would love to hear from you. I thank you for spending this time with us at the webinar. I hope you learned a thing, learned a thing or two. I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble on and on. But if you're interested and you have an idea that's been tickling you for the last, day or couple of months, you can go to our website at www.52launch.com, fill out our form, and either myself or our team of consultants will be on a call with you, talk you through this process, and really see if, entrepreneurship and working with 52 Launch is right for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Aaron.
Of course.
Just like Aaron said, go to our website, book a consultation. Don't wait another minute. Let's turn your product idea into revenue. Thank you.
Thank you.